My name is Shime, and I've been doing this for the past 4, 5 years actually. During COVID, I started during COVID, and I've trained over 120 different business owners on different things. And GrowthWheel seems to always come back as one of the best tool to use in here when you want to not only grow your company, but also find ways to uh, fix bottlenecks, spot some gaps, and actually make your business a little bit more, um, how should I say this, more aligned with what you're doing. And if people don't mind, I would like to see what you do, where you're tuning in from, so that I can be able to tailor the presentation a little bit to what you do and how you do it. Um, so I see there's one person in here. Would you like to be able to put in the chat what your company does and where you're located? And have you heard about GrowthWheel before? Do you use GrowthWheel in your business? That's something I would also like to know, because that's going to help me not give you too much information if you already know about it, um, and will also help me spot the gaps as well. Let's see here. All right, I don't see anything in the Q&A yet, but we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on, and our our reality is that the manufacturing industry today is very, very much uh how should I say this? They are on the cusp of either something really big or something really bad. I don't know how you say that. They're on the edge. They are on the edge. That's what I should say it. So we're going to take a look at what is the reality of manufacturing today. And the reality is that there's a lot of few problems that uh, I have identified. I don't know if anybody else sees anything else, but if you are in a manufacturing organization, what are some of the key problems that you see you're facing right now? All right, that's another question I would like, if possible, if you would like to answer that, I would like to know what are some of the problems you're facing right now? Because I put a few of them in here. I'm not sure if that's correct or not, but I would like to know. I would like to know what are some of the problems you're seeing in your organization right now?
I know one of the problems that we have in the Western region, I can say, is that we do not have a lot of maker spaces to start production. We don't have, and
Mm,
people are saying, where do I go to start the manufacturing process? Where do I begin?
mm. That's a big, big problem. There's a lot of people who have a lot of ideas and like, oh, where do I go? Where do I find people to help me? So that's a really good one. Right? And that can also be tied into the talent gaps, right? Where do you find people who can actually help you? I know my friend he's in has a manufacturing company. He's always complaining. I was like, I can't find good people. I can't find good people. So that's a big, big problem that we're facing there. Input costs, rising input costs. Huge, huge, huge problem nowadays. Uh, Not only for the imported materials, but also for the local materials. The prices are going up, 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 up all the time. Production efficiencies, customer pressures, right? Um, Having to face those pressures of, hey, I need this done ASAP as soon as possible, right? So that's one of the realities and problems that we're seeing in our manufacturing industry nowadays. It's like, where do we find maker spaces? How do I find somebody who can help me? The the cost is rising so much. right? And the production efficiency out there is massive, 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 not including the customer pressure. There's one more I didn't add in here. There's one more I didn't add in here. Who can guess what it is? And it's a big one. It is a big one. Put in the Q&A if you can guess what it is. Tariffs is a big, big, big one. Big, big, big one. And that is something I would like to talk about. That is something I would like to talk about during the presentation as well. And you will see that tariffs have affected a lot of companies. I keep seeing in the news, friends and colleagues, they're having to shut down because they can't keep up, right? And the good news is that if you go through this growth wheel presentation with me, and then you go back to your team and say, hey, we need to implement some of these things, you might be able to mitigate and navigate these tariffs. So those are big, big challenges. And I had an example here where metal workers are losing 7 hours weekly because finishing department waits for paint to dry and uh, lots of delays there. But why this matters is because without structure, teams react to problems, right? Without structure, I'm going to say that one more time. Without structure, teams react to problems of preventing them, right? But with the growth wheel, you're able to not only shift from firefighting to actually predicting these problems. So today we're talking about, for those who are joining us, today we're talking about using the growth wheel tool in your manufacturing plant, in your organization. I mean, it doesn't have to be a manufacturing plant. You can use the growth wheel for any business. And I really, really want you to hone in on how you can prevent some of the problems that we just saw, the tariffs, the rising cost, the talent gaps, um, and all the other problems that we just saw. And this could be any, any business. Doesn't necessarily have to be a manufacturing. So, what is the growth wheel? Before I go there, I would like to play a 3-minute video. So let me stop sharing for a second, and then let me share again.
Let me introduce you to GrowthWheel, a toolbox for entrepreneurs and small businesses to make decisions and take action. GrowthWheel is a visual toolbox which you can use either on paper or you can use it in the cloud. It's used when you have a conversation about business. Maybe you have it with your management team, your staff, or with your business advisor. It is a visual way to look at your business. So the 4 colors that you see in the wheel is a symbol of 4 challenges that you have when you are going to grow your business. And these are 4 challenges you have no matter what life stage you're in, no matter what size of company you have, or no matter what industry you are in. So you know them very well. The first challenge you have is to create an attractive business concept. You've got to make a product, a service, or technology that somebody wants to buy. So if you're an early stage company, you might be creating a product for the first time. But if you're a high growth company, you are working on improving that concept that you already have. The second challenge that we see in GrowthWheel, and that is the same for all businesses, is to establish a strong organization to actually deliver this concept. So if you're a newly started company, you may have the challenge of recruiting your first employee or partner. But if you're a growth company, that may be something that you're doing every single month. Now, even if you have a great business concept and you have a solid team of people and partners, the revenue of the business can only come from one place, the customers. So the third challenge that your business have in common with everyone else is to build lasting customer relations. Get new clients, keep them, and grow them. But even if you have a lot of customers and you have a lot of sales, there is one last challenge, and that is to make money and have profitable operations. So this is the 4th challenge we see in GrowthWheel, which is the same for all businesses. What GrowthWheel now does is to break down these 4 challenges into 20 focus areas, and that gives you a full 360 perspective on your business, so you can avoid blind spots and make smarter decisions. And that's how we get the GrowthWheel framework that you see here, which is nothing but a checklist. It's a checklist in a circle with colors on it. And then it helps us figure out how we can grow the business. Now, to grow a company, you need to make decisions. You need to decide between alternative ways to go. And sometimes you need to make decisions before you can even move forward and take the next step. But you also need to take action to grow the company, carry out the decisions that you made, and sometimes you even need to take a few action steps before you can even make a decision about where you need to go. So the way to grow a company is to find out about decisions to make and actions to take, but there are many. So one of the first decisions you have to make is to figure out what you're going to do now and what you're going to do later, what decisions you're going to make now, and which decisions that can wait. That's where GrowthWheel, the checklist, helps by giving that 360 view on the business, so you can better choose what to do first. And so you have a structure and a language to have this conversation with people around you. So that's GrowthWheel and how it can help you make decisions and take action.
Anybody in here already know about GrowthWheel? Put it in the Q&A there if you already know about GrowthWheel. And if you don't know about GrowthWheel, you're in for a ride, because it is definitely going to help you become not only a decision maker, so to call it, but also an action taker. Just like the video just showed us, is that GrowthWheel is going to help us decide and then take actions to better our businesses, right? So let me share my screen here again. And if you're just joining us, you can put your hand up if you want to ask a question, and we will unmute you. And I would like this to be an engaging presentation, honestly. So ask as many questions as possible. We only have maybe another 45 minutes, so I would love it if we could do that. So again, as we talked about, the growth wheel is all about having a 360-degree business decision making framework in your business. So we're going to talk about the concept, what you sell, and how you create value to the market. The organizations, this comes down to the roles, training and management, how you recruit, who to recruit, all that. Client relations, making sure that you retain those communication with customers, and that the communication with customers that are happening are actually fruitful, and people are actually listening to what you're having to say, right? The operations is how do you deliver your products, right? And this is probably where most manufacturers are gonna be spending most of their time in, especially during these hard times, right? You want to make sure your operations are airtight and that you cannot be surprised, right? So here's an example. A furniture manufacturer maps its entire process from start to finish, and they then realize, wait a minute, we have 30% delays happening between finishing and delivery, and it's not in production itself. So this shows up when they go through the operation side of the growth wheel, mapping out end to end what you're doing. Has anybody done that before? Have you mapped out in your organization the end to end of how you're producing your products or your services in this matter, and figuring out what are some of the gaps? Has anybody done that before? Because I know as business owners, we usually say, "Hey, let me just start the business and let me go, and let's go. Let's as long as we're making money, we will fight the fires as they come, right?" So I highly recommend that you do that if you have not already. The one thing I would like us to go through here is, let me see if I can share my other screen. I would like us to do a 360-degree analysis of our business. And I'm not sure if you've done this already, but this tool is going to help you figure out, okay, where am I when it comes to operations, when it comes to uh, my business concept? Where am I? Where am I actually at? So the 20 areas that they were talking about is the business idea, the product portfolio, revenue model, customer portfolio, market position. And again, it doesn't matter if you're making $10,000 a month in your business or $100,000 a month in your business. GrowthWheel is the tool that will help you decide and make decisions on everything a business needs, right? And this is something that you can come back to every now and then and say, hey, for this quarter, what should I focus on? What should be my focus in the next 30, 60, and 90 days, right? Do I want to come up with a new revenue model, for example, which I highly recommend? That's probably my favorite decision-making tool, is coming up with a revenue model that can mitigate the risks of of who knows what's going to come down the pipeline, right? So I'm going to show you the 360-degree here tool that you can use. And with this tool, I want you to assess yourself, right? I want you to assess yourself. Where are you when it comes to um, revenue model? Are you solid? Are you good? Then you mark it like that. I will actually send this out. Diane will help me send this out after the presentation, and you can actually start filling it out and figuring out, okay, where am I lacking and where do I want to focus in the next 30, 60, 90 days, right? My business idea is good, right? I'm already making money. This is good. What about my product portfolio? Do I want to add more products or do I want to have less products, right? Because some of them are becoming very, very risky, right? Right? So, and then if you do that, how is the revenue going to change, right? Then you go into the revenue model and say, okay, maybe, maybe I'm going to have to increase my prices. Maybe I'm going to have to figure out how to target a new customer portfolio, right? And maybe after that's done, I need to figure out how to position myself in that new market that I'm in. So this tool is going to help you figure out, okay, how do I assess myself? How do I figure out where I am? And when it comes to production and delivery, for example, is this solid? Is this 10 out of 10? Uh, can I improve on it in the next 30, 60, 90 days? And what can I do, right? Especially with the tariffs. What can I do to mitigate the tariffs when it comes to production and delivery? Right? Something to think about. So go through this, mark yourself, honestly, mark yourself where you are, right? And then once you figure out where you are, you can then come down here and say, okay, here's the actions I'm going to take. And here's the list of questions that I have for myself when it comes to the operations and delivery. And I would like to make decisions on that. Is my production and delivery good enough? Does it need some risk mitigation? Who can I talk to? Who's going to be responsible? So put that in there, right? And you can see you got the 4 quadrants here. So put in some questions there and figure out how to move forward from there, right? So that's that. And then I'm going to come here and I'm going to give you an example of how this would work. So this is probably one of my favorite decision-making tools, is the revenue model. Now, with the revenue model, right, this is going to basically show you, okay, what are some decisions that you can make when it comes to making sure you have a profit, right? That you're not losing money because of tariffs or because of anything else, right? What is the revenue model that you have? Okay, good. You have a manufacturing revenue model. That's great. That's solid. But can you turn it into a contract manufacturing? Can you turn it into a licensed manufacturing? Are you able to outsource some stuff? Can you get some royalties out of that? Right? So this is for you to decide and ask yourself these questions. Are these revenue models even useful for me? And if they're useful, how could this revenue model possibly be used? And then on top of that, what is the potential yearly sales from this source? Any questions so far? Any Q&As? Am I losing anybody? Am I going too fast? I would like to know, get some feedback. Put it in the Q&A or raise your hand so we can have a conversation there. So anybody lost so far? Thank you. So the other thing you need to think about is maybe you can come up with some trade revenue models, some wholesaling, some regional agents, some retail, some consignment. Again, this tool is not going to give you all the answers. You're the one who's going to sit down and figure out, is this for me? Can I do this? All right. And if I do this, who do I need in the picture? I read such a great book called Who Not How by Benjamin Hardy. Highly recommend that book. It's on Amazon. Who Not How by Benjamin Hardy. Talks about it's not how you're going to do something, how you're going to achieve something. It's about who can help you get there much more faster, right? So highly recommend that you read that book. My favorite is subscriptions, right? I actually went through this GrowthWheel with somebody, and now they're implementing subscriptions in their business, and it's like, wow, this is really cool to see. Now you're gonna have additional revenue model, which doesn't take a lot of time from you, but is going to bring in monthly, yearly revenue that you don't have to do a lot for. All right. Again, every business is different. Every single business is different. This is totally up to you to decide, is this something that could work for me? My favorite that I would like to see implemented, I have my favorite bakery called Cobb's in here, where I live, and they don't have a subscription model. I would like them to have a subscription model. I would like to pay $50 a month or whatever, and every other week I just go there and pick up my bread and and go. Then I don't have to think about it, or they deliver it to me. I would love that. I would love that. I love bread, so if they had something like that, I would sign up. But unfortunately, they don't. They're missing out on such a huge revenue model there, right? So there's a whole bunch of revenue models you can go through and figure out if this works for you, how is it going to work for you, and how can you implement it, right? Price points to figure out, okay, what kind of price points do I have, right? I was talking to somebody and they make skincare products. Um, and I looked at their prices and I said, these prices are not, are you even making a profit here? So they said, no, I'm not really making a profit. I'm just covering the cost. I'm like, if you're just covering the costs, then you don't have a business, right? I'm sorry to say. Uh, Something I always tell everybody is that you should always at least increase your prices at least twice a year. At least twice a year. It doesn't have to be significant, but if you can increase it so that you can actually at least make a profit, at least make a profit, I think that would make your life a bit more easier. But then again, we want to be paid for the highest value. So aim to have the highest price point, and then figure out, okay, if this is my price point, what's the expected sold units? What's the expected income on this price point? And what tentative price can I have on this product, right? This will tell you, hey, I am not losing money. I'm not just covering the cost. I'm actually getting paid a little bit more than profit, but enough to mitigate some unexpected risks that might come over, right? So think about that. Think about that for each product that you have, right? Is this something that you can increase the price? Is it something that you can figure out, okay, where am I when it comes to that? And then once you do that, segment the pricing. Some people have different customers who buy on different prices, right? Walmart is not going to buy the same price as somebody walking into the store, right? Volume pricing, seasonal pricing. Do you even have seasonal pricing, right? January can be tough for some of us because the holidays are over and nobody's buying. Do you have that kind of pricing implemented in your business? Right? Something to think about. Again, I'm just helping you make a decision and then take action on that decision. Right? Something that people really don't think about nowadays. Price plans. You have to decide on the different pricing for variations of the products and services that you have. Some of them can be, hey, can I sell my product by the item, by weight, or by package? Can I do uh, a combo of some kind? Can I do a basket of some kind? Um, how can I make this happen? Right? And if you're in the service industry, it's more like, okay, is it hourly? Is it by the week? Is it by the event? Is it by the month? Is it per use? Is it per incident? Again, you have to figure out how can you have different variations of the same product. Again, don't remember, you have to remember not the lowest price, but the price that actually makes sense for you. And then add in some features on that. Um, and then have a minimum standard and a maximum price, right? Something that you need to think about that a lot of people don't think about is like, hey, you can have 3 different prices for the same product, right? They just have to have different features, different services included in there. Is it a different color? Is it a different size, right? The bigger the size, the more expensive it gets, right? Discount policy. I don't know if most of you do a discount a policy. As I was talking to somebody going through the growth wheel, and they were like, "No, I don't have a discount policy. I am a luxury manufacturer. The price is the price. Get out of here." Right? Again, that's your business. You're allowed to do that, right? You are allowed to do that. But for some of us, right, we gotta take a look at some seasonal discounts. Is that a thing? And if you have a lot of inventory, maybe look at clearance sale, right? Every time I go into Walmart, they always have a section of for clearance sale. It's like, hey, we don't really want this stuff. This stuff is final sale. Come get it if you want, and it's on sale, right? I learned the hard way though. You cannot return a final sale item at Walmart. It's sold, it's sold. Uh, Quantity discount, right? This is probably one of those things that you might want to implement. Uh, Bonus product when purchasing specific orders, bonus refund. I don't know if you can do a refund on that. But loyalty discount, customer group discount, gift discount. Again, I'm going through this just to show you the capabilities of GrowthWheel when it comes to the revenue model. When it comes to operations and other things, it asks you other different things. It's very extensive. It's very extensive. You might be like, oh, wow, this is a lot to go through. Yes, it is a lot, right? That's why every single company should be implementing a GrowthWheel strategy in their business because every year things are changing, right? Um, and also think about, okay, if I'm going to increase my prices, what's going to be the increase rate or the percentage? And how do I explain this price increase to my customers, right? Some people usually like, nah, we're just going to increase the price and then good luck with the customers. Customers need an explanation, right? Tariffs, yes, tariffs is a good explanation, but can you sweeten that deal a little bit more, right? Can you say, well, there's been higher demand and we're running out of supplies. Right? The 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 economy is not doing so well. Again, think about it, right? Come up with a really, really good explanation. Name your product, put the current price, put the future price, when you're going to increase the price, and date for the price increase notice that needs to be going out. This goes out to your marketing team if you already have a marketing team in place. But hey, come up with some explanation for us. This is the price increase is going out. Right. I heard that 80-20 rule when you increase your price, 20% of the people will stay, and these are the people who you want to stay. The 80% will start complaining, or they will leave you because they are the complainers, right? Oh yeah, who thought that was valuable? Does that make sense? Do we have any questions so far? I know it's a lot of information. I just don't want to overwhelm people. All right. So going back to the presentation now, we need to diagnose your operation, right? See the whole page, or see the whole operation on one page if you're a manufacturer. And the operations decision sheet will definitely help you with that, right? Um, Again, if you want to book a one-on-one with me, I think we can do that. Thank you so much. Very helpful. This is really good. And once you put together on one page your full operation, then you can start to see, okay, here are the gaps. Here is the 12 hours that I'm losing on this line over here. Here is the 40% that I can increase if I implement some sort of Kanban system, some sort of check-in system, some sort of accountability system. GrowthWheel will definitely help you decide and take action, right? And this is probably a very good one. That most inefficiencies, they don't happen between they happen between departments, not within them, right? So when you're passing off from one department to another, that's when you see, oh, hey, wait a minute, there's gaps here, right? And with the growth wheel, once you go through it, it actually exposes those gaps, right? As you saw with the revenue model, it's like, huh, I have to communicate a price increase, right? I mean, yeah, some people do, some people don't, right? But coming up with a sweet handoff to the marketing team and say, hey, materials have gone up, tariffs are affecting us. We need to communicate to our clients. This is what's going to happen. Instead of just closing the doors, I know a lot of people are like, yeah, we can't do it. We're just going to close the door. Play around with some risk mitigations, right? Figure out how can you beat those tariffs. Again, I'm going to talk about tariffs in a little bit here, but you have to identify those bottlenecks, right? Is it inventory? Do you have too much or too little of it? Or is it the process of bottleneck where you have one station that slows down the entire line? Or is it people? I get a lot of this. Yeah, people, skill matching or unclear accountability, or just gaps. There's gaps in who you hire. Again, please check out that book if you haven't already. Uh, Who Not How by Benjamin Hardy on Amazon. It will show you that it's not always about how to do something. It's about the person. Do you have the right person in the right seat? Ooh, the right person in the right seat. That's a that's a good one. Bottleneck solution, for example, uh, the sign manufacturer discovered packaging, not printing, was slowing the shipping. And what they did, right, it wasn't to buy another printer, it was to add just another part-time worker for the packaging, right? And then their turnaround improved 35% without new equipment and all the logistics that had to go into that. Just one more person. Hey, your job is to just package part-time. That's it. Right? It's not our machines. Our machines are not slowing us down. Right? Favorite. Okay. This is probably what people have been waiting for, is the tariffs manufacturing. So how has the tariffs affected? I really want to learn from everybody. How has the tariffs affected your business today as we speak? Maybe somebody can unmute. put your hand up or click on their hand, and Diane will unmute you. I would really love to hear from you.
I think we have a very quiet group with us today.
Everybody's still sleeping or they're multitasking.
That could be.
Anybody?
Any comments?
Joshua? Any comments? How has the tariff impacted your business?
All right, we do have one comment here. I am not working in manufacturing, but have second thoughts of starting a business that involves imports.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that is a good one. GrowthWheel is definitely going to help you with this because, as I'm going to show you, there's ways to mitigate that risk now. You just gotta think outside the box, get some tools to help you, and you can basically predict the future, right? I'm not gonna talk too much about the pressures of the tariffs right now. We all know what they are. And they're on the rise and they're changing on a daily basis. But again, things are costing more, and the policy is shifting on a daily basis, right? So how tariffs hit manufacturers or any business to that for that matter is cost shock. Material spikes, the price spike, the quoting becomes riskier and riskier. You don't know what's gonna happen. Supplier disruption, overseas vendors delays or cancel orders, right? Cash flow crunch, higher import costs, tie up working capital inventory, right? So the cash flow is really, really minimal there. Margin erosion, passing down 100% of increase to customers is rarely feasible. Okay. Tough questions to go through, right? Tough, tough, tough in this economy. But let's see how the growth wheel can help us with this, right? Here's how you can respond to these tough pressures using the growth wheel. So, for example, under operations, you can figure out that, hey, wait a minute, let me review my supplier dependencies and what the exposure is, right? Uh, is it possible? Is it possible that I can replace 20% of imported steel and domestic products and have a way to use the supply chain sheet to visualize the risk? So we have a supply chain sheet inside Growth Wheel that can help you visualize this. Maybe, just maybe you can replace the 20% imported steel or imported goods that have been tariffed with domestic ones. Something to think about, right? And these are just examples that I'm giving you. We could probably find more specific ones geared towards your business, right? And under business concept, is there a value proposition versus cost structure? Again, this is probably what we just talked about with the revenue model, right? Value proposition versus cost structure, right? Positioning locally made, tariff resilient as a differentiator and upping up the price. Is that possible in your business, right? Something to think about. Under client relations, this is where you have to figure out, okay, how am I going to communicate with my clients now? How am I going to communicate with my clients the price communication and retention risk? Who do I want to stay around? What kind of clients do I want to stay around, right? How am I going to communicate this to them? And this is where you provide advanced price changing notices and cost transparency briefs, right? If you're not already doing that, or if you're not already preparing that come January, I think that's something that you're gonna have to do either way, right? And then under organization, right? So we went through the 4 different quadrants there, and we're figuring out these are just some of the examples we can use for the tariffs, to combat the tariffs, to mitigate the tariffs, right? So over 50% exports of soybeans used to go to China. Oh, again, this is probably where the growth wheel can help the farmers. Can they find other markets? Can they can they can they send the soybeans to Mexico or down south, Argentina, Brazil, right? Have they looked into those markets? Africa is a big, big continent, everybody. It is a massive continent, right? Over 52 countries. Have they looked into that, right? Again, who, not how? Who, not how, right? I know China was already there and everything, but this is something that needs to be mitigated, figuring out, okay, where are we, right? Where are we and how can we mitigate that? If somebody else says no, can we look at other markets, right? And this comes down, again, this comes down to the business concept. The farmers, they already have a way to export their soybeans. Well, just call up Kenya, call up Sudan, South Africa. Hey, we have a whole bunch of soybeans that's going bad. Do you want it? I'm 100% sure they're going to say yes,
Excellent point.
right?
And this is also where your market research comes in, correct?
Exactly, exactly, right? So again, Growth Wheel is going to help you with this because it's going to help you not only predict, but also mitigate these unforeseen problems and circumstances, right? So very, very good point. Thank you for putting that Q&A in there. I love that. Another example I had here is a Chicago tool manufacturer built a tariff impact tracker. So you have a tariff impact tracker in your growth wheel, using the growth wheel, and you map out the tariff sensitive suppliers, right? And you replace those 2 vendors and you negotiated local contracts and restored margins by at least 8% in 60 days. That's right. Again, tariff impact tracker is a good thing to have, that everybody should have. It doesn't matter if you're pre-venture, pre-revenue, or whatever, but figuring out, okay, how can I do this with all these tariffs coming out, right? Um, Again, that's what the growth wheel is going to be able to help you with. Um, Step 4, build your 90-day transformation plan, right? Uh, the first 30 days, you diagnose and you visualize the problem. The next 30 to 60 days, you're implementing small, measurable, trackable decisions, right? Again, growth is all about decisions, right? And you figure out, okay, how can I put that together? And then in the next 60, 90 days, then you measure, right? Okay, with the decisions and actions I've taken, what can I measure? What's been the impact so far, right? So you want to make it short cycle, where you create momentum, right? And you don't really have any long consulting delays. It's just like you're moving, you're deciding and you're moving, you're deciding and you're moving. And you're doing that with tracking tools, you're doing that with the growth wheel, you're doing that with the whole team, right? Measure and refine, right? We have a growth wheel scorecard and dashboard, and this will definitely figure out, okay, this is where I am, green, yellow, red. Red is obviously, hey, we need to do something about this for production, cash flow, team, sales. How are we doing? Right? Every month you do a check-in with everybody. Hey, where are we at? Is it a yellow? Do we need to do something about it? Or do we need to decide? Is it a red? Is this something that's on fire right now? Is it green? Are we okay on that side? Right? And after 2 cycles, operations improved over 40%, while marketing stayed yellow, triggering a GrowthWheel client relationship session to balance growth. So this is something I highly advise everybody who's in here. Do a monthly check-in. When was the last time you did a monthly check-in with all the 4 quadrants, right? Your operations, your business concept, your client relations, and your team, right? When was the last time you did a monthly check-in and said, hey, we are green here, we are yellow here, and we are red here, right? Something to think about. Before GrowthWheel, lots of people stay constant, delays, overtime cost, managers are overwhelmed, daily firefighting. Oh, this just happened. Oh, this policy just happened, right? What are we gonna do? So you're reacting, right? Instead of, hey, let us come up with a plan that will help us reduce downtime, have on-time deliveries, find some domestic suppliers, and figure out some internal dashboards as well that can help us track lead time, cost, staff efficiency, right? So you basically have to build a culture of continuous improvement, right? This is not a one and done, good luck, I'm all set, right? January could be bringing in new changes, who knows, right? Um, highly recommend that you think about those things, right? Who in here has a monthly check-in with the team? And do you color coordinate it, or how do you do that? I would like to hear um, some of you. What do you use? How do you do it?
And we can either, I can unmute you or you can put that in the Q&A.
I just put in my Calendly meeting there in the chat. I'm not sure if everybody's able to see it, but you can book a one-on-one with me and I can take you through the growth wheel and we can figure out, okay, where you're at and how you're doing things. And I also have a 2-hour workshop, tariff proofing your supply chain next week, same time. So if you're interested in that as well, let me know. But yeah, that's the growth wheel. That's the growth wheel. Any questions? Any questions? I would love to hear what your thoughts are. It doesn't matter if you're pre-revenue, you're still thinking about starting a business. I would like to hear what you think about this tool.